All right, let's talk about it, that dreaded plateau. So you've been working really hard, you've seen great results, and then it inevitably happens, you hit the dreaded plateau. So let's talk about this, because it's not if it's going to happen, but when. So what is a plateau? So a plateau, first of all, is not a bad thing. A plateau means that your body has done all of the fat loss that it's going to do during this fat loss phase. You may have to do multiple rounds of fat loss phases to continue to see results because of that metabolic homeostasis, okay? So eventually your body will adapt to what you're doing. Then you have to make some changes to continue to see results, okay? You can't constantly be focused on losing, because eventually your body will adapt. And you won't lose anymore until you focus on gains, like muscle gains, metabolic gains, speeding up your metabolism, that kind of thing. So a plateau, what it is it's zero changes in your measurements, your pictures, the way your clothes are fitting, or any other kind of non-scale victory for 4 solid weeks. So we do not measure success by a single tool. So we are also not going to be measuring plateaus by a single tool, specifically the scale, okay? Because we all know the scale is a liar. You could be seeing results, losing fat and gaining muscle, but the scale may or may not be moving. So the scale is not an accurate representation of if you have hit a plateau. So if you've got improved blood work at the doctor, if you are hitting PRs in the gym, if your menopause symptoms are decreasing, or maybe your period has returned after a time of not having one, okay? These are all signs that you're having progress and you have not hit a plateau, even if the scale is not moving. So we're going to discuss first the difference in a plateau and a valley, because fat loss and weight loss are not going to be this linear. It's going to look a lot more like this, okay? It's a journey, as you want it to be trending down, and then after a while it may actually plateau, but you might just be in what I'm calling a valley, okay? Because sometimes you're going to lose weight quickly, and sometimes you're going to be losing weight slowly. Some things that might appear like it stalls out, but then it kind of kicks up again. That's why we want to wait for 4 weeks. So even if you're doing the same things, you're not going to be getting the same results all the time. So how do you know if it's a plateau? You take the pictures and you take the measurements and you keep track of those non-scale victories. Is an outfit you wore last month fitting better than it is this month? Or fit better this month than it did last month? Or maybe is it getting tighter? Maybe you need to quit intuitively eating, because maybe you are moving in the wrong direction. But if your results have truly stalled for 4 weeks, you haven't seen any of those non-scale victories or hitting PRs in the gym or anything like that, then maybe you have hit a plateau, okay? But if you took a week-long vacation, you had some memories over macros time in the last 4 weeks, don't expect to see this mega progress, especially if you're getting close to hitting your goals. So if you're intuitively eating and you're not tracking and you think your results have stalled, you're not necessarily in a plateau, okay? Because that's the goal of intuitively. If you're intuitively eating, the goal is to maintain the results you've achieved. With that being said, you may still see progress while you're intuitively eating, especially if you have a ways to hit your goal. Just intuitively eating, you may still see some non-scale victories. You may still lose some inches and some weight. You may still hit PRs in the gym, but that's just not expected when you're intuitively eating. So what's expected when you eat intuitively and you're not tracking is to maintain the results you have. This is not a plateau. That's the goal of intuitive eating. So a true plateau is going to require you putting in the effort to see progress, but not getting that progress or that result. So you've got some risk factors of hitting a plateau that we're going to go over really quickly. But if you're following our strategies, you're going to be at a much lower risk of plateauing, because our strategies inevitably, everybody's eventually going to plateau, but by incorporating our strategies, what you're doing is you kind of kick that can down the road. You prolong the fat loss phase as long as possible. Eventually you'll plateau, but let's do it further down the road so you can get the most fat loss in this phase as possible. So if you are not following our strategies, you're not tracking, you're at risk of under eating, okay? If you are under eating, that puts you at a high risk for a plateau. So I want you to be mindful that you eat enough, especially eating enough protein. Another one is over exercising. So these are the two things that the diet industry tells you are reversed, okay? Under eat and over exercise, you'll see results. until you don't, your metabolism has crashed, and then you're stuck in a worse place than you were before, and you're shoot right back up. That's that whole yo-yo dieting thing. So if you want to quit yo-yoing, you need to quit following that eat less, exercise more. So follow our recommendations. So ideally, I want you following our Faster Way workouts. They are strategically, they are designed, they are effective. They will not overwork you. But if you're wanting to do your own workouts, that's fine. Stick to no more than 2 HIIT or cardios a week, and 3 strength training. No more than that. If you're only going to do a few exercises, make sure it's always the strength training, but make sure you're prioritizing rest in your recovery days. Do not double up on workouts because you missed a day, or you got back from vacation and you're going to do a double up workout because you feel like you're punishing yourself for what you had at vacation. Don't do that. Another risk factor, which you might be doing for hitting a plateau, is filling your macros with processed foods. If you focus on whole food nutrition, then you will kick that proverbial can of fat loss or hitting a plateau down the road. Eating processed foods is going to lead to hitting a plateau quicker than a whole food diet. So that whole, like, if it fits in your macros, you can eat it. There's a difference. There's a difference in if it fits your macros and if it fits your macros and it's whole food nutrition. There's a big difference there, okay? If you're not getting enough water, if you're not getting enough sleep, and if you're having a high stress level, all 3 of those are risk factors as well. So half your body weight in ounces of water, at least 7 hours of sleep at night. And then to kind of piggyback up on that is stress. A lot of stress we can't control. So what I want you to do is not compound the stress you're having. So if you can't remove the stress, if work is your stressor and you can't quit, then try to remove other stressors that might be a good stressor. Your body doesn't know the difference between a good stress and a bad stress. So if you are stressed at work, have an aging parent, maybe have a sick child, so you're not getting enough sleep at night, and you're fasting, which is a good stressor, and you're doing exercise, which is a good stressor. All of these are filling that stress bucket. So if you can't remove the aging parent, you can't remove a sick child, you can't remove work unless you want to quit. So remove the things you can control. Maybe you back off and do a 12-hour fast to reduce the stress. Maybe you skip the workout and prioritize sleep, okay? If you're not getting at least 7 hours of sleep on the regular, and you're waking up early to do your workout, skip your workout to get the sleep. I promise you, trust me. Skip the workout, get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep, and you're going to kickstart results again. Like, you're just going to have to trust me. I know it sounds loony, but reducing that cortisol and reducing your stress level is going to be huge on fat loss, because when your body's natural response to stress, whether it's good stress or bad stress, when your stress bucket gets filled up, hormone teeters high, okay? It disrupts that natural cortisol cycle. Cortisol's good. Cortisol is what gets you out of bed in the morning, okay? The cortisol cycle is nice, but when you're constantly high and it doesn't cycle, it's going to cause body fat retention, especially in the belly. So the way it does that is it reduces your ability to burn it, and it stores it at a higher rate. So it's like a double whammy if you've got a high stress. And because we're women, we have more fat receptors in our stomach, our butt, and our thighs, because that's where we bear children. So your fat receptors are there. So that's where you're going to hold on to fat. If your cortisol levels are high, it's also going to increase your blood sugar, and it's going to increase your sugar cravings. Okay. So I can't stress this enough. Reduce your stress as much as possible, even if that means you take away a good stressor for this period of time. Okay, so maybe you are in a plateau. You've stuck with the strategies for 4 weeks. You've consistently tracked. You are, being conscious of your stress and your sleep and not over-exercising and not under-eating, okay? And you still haven't seen any non-scale victories. Or any inches lost or clothes fitting better, anything like that, you probably have hit a plateau. And like I said, that's not a bad thing. That just means your body has lost all of the fat it's willing to lose in this fat loss period. You've done your job. Now it's time to change up your strategies, adjust your macros, and focus on a different goal. Your goal cannot be fat loss anymore. Your body's done all it's going to do. So now your goal needs to change. You need to work on increasing your metabolism, and you need to work on muscle gains, increasing your strength and the muscle on your body, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is increase your macros by 5%. I know it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but generally it's enough to kind of bust through that plateau and again, kick that proverbial can down the road and get a little bit more out of that fat loss phase. Eventually, you will need to do a reverse diet, meaning we will increase your calories, increase your macros until you get to maintenance, and you will sit there for a little while. We can talk about this if you think it is you. This is not what this training is about, but those are the steps. If you've hit a plateau, is we will try to squeeze a little bit more out of this fat loss phase by increasing your macros by 5%. If that doesn't work, we'll do a true reverse and sit in maintenance. So I also want to throw one more thing out there. I want to challenge your thinking just a little bit. So are you in a plateau now that we've defined what that is? Or maybe you're just in the valley. Or it could be one more thing. Are you reaching the optimal size to be the healthiest version of you? Okay, we can all eat the same things. We can all exercise the same ways and still be different body types. God created us very uniquely, and how he created me is not how he created you. And how he created 20-year-old Anna Marie is not how he's going to create 50-year-old Anna Marie. I can't expect to look like a 20-year-old in my 50s. That's just not how it's going to happen. So success is always going to come quickly at first. You're going to have those beginner gains. But eventually success is going to slow down, and it doesn't mean you've hit a plateau. It means that it could possibly mean that you're getting to the healthiest version of you. So at some point you will stop losing weight and you will stop losing inches. You'll begin to see some more muscle definition, but these non-scale victories are not going to be as huge as they were in the beginning because you're getting to the point where you're just simply living your best life and you're the healthiest version of you. So I want you to take a second and just reflect on what your goals are based on. Is the 50-year-old you expecting to have a 20-year-old body? Are your goals realistic? Okay, are they attainable? And if they are attainable, what do you have to do what kind of strategies do you have to implement to attain your goals? And if those strategies aren't sustainable, then your goal is not sustainable either. So be mindful of that because you want your goal body, whatever your goal is, to not only be attainable, but sustainable. Okay. And if you're under like a great amount of stress right now, like we talked about, then I want you to be mindful of that and set goals accordingly, because until you can get more sleep, and reduce your stress, there's going to be little fat loss in the midsection, okay? So maybe instead of focusing on losing during that time period, you focus on building strength, building new healthy habits, building a better you, not necessarily just a skinnier you. So the faster way, you've learned how to fuel your body with food. That food is not just a means to satisfy hunger. We're lifting weights to feel strong instead of spending hours on the elliptical, okay? And hopefully, my hope for you is that you've learned to respect yourself enough to know that these extreme diets and these extreme strategies that you would have to do to reach some arbitrary size are only going to leave you feeling miserable. And that's not the healthiest version of you. The healthiest version of you knows how to enjoy girls' night and be happy in her own skin at the same time. So your best weight is whatever you're going to reach when you're living a healthy, sustainable life that you can enjoy. So next time, before you chalk it up to a plateau or think maybe your results have stalled out, I want you to take a closer look. Is it a plateau? Okay. Have you been tracking consistently? Have you seen any other non-scale victories that don't have anything to do with your weight? Or maybe is it just a valley? Okay, has progress maybe not stalled, but just slowed down? Or let's take a closer look at your goal, because is it too lofty and unreasonable? What is your goal based on? Okay, so that's all I have for you about plateaus. If you want to chat a little bit more, you can schedule a one-on-one call with me. If you think you maybe need to boost that 5%, or if you're ready to reverse and hit into maintenance, we can do that as well. So happy whatever today is, guys.